una domanda sia di carattere, diciamo, scientifico, sia in ambito creativo. In Avatar io sono sempre stato molto affascinato da come erano state concepite quelle creature, il fatto che avessero tratti da mammiferi, tratti da uccelli, ma che fossero allo stesso tempo così marine quelle creature, il fatto che si vedessero le bianchi, una pelle che mi ricordava quasi gli anfibi. Volevo chiederle quale fosse il concepimento di questa cosa, anche proprio sapendo il suo attaccamento per quanto riguarda gli oceani, le creature marine. Immaginavo che fosse una sorta di fusione di più animali diversi, una fusione di più classi diversi, che magari possa essere anche quell'armonia che Pandora mi ha sempre restituito parecchio, anche per quanto riguarda la connessione neurale che sembra esserci, proprio questo concetto di armonia che ci ho visto anche nel concepimento di questi animali. Grazie mille.
I think the question indicates that the gentleman knows the answer already. Yes, inspired by the ocean, right? Inspired by the natural world. Inspired by dinosaurs, you know, and us trying to figure out from a bunch of bones in the ground, in the rock, how they moved, how their bodies worked. You know, it's about science, it's about where science and imagination come together. And wanting to create creatures that are, once again, in the same way that we did the Na'vi, where they weren't so alien that we didn't understand what they were thinking and feeling. We wanted to create creatures that were at the same moment recognizable and also very alien, right? So we have what we call the dire horse. The dire horse has its nostrils in its neck. It's got 6 legs. It's got an armored skin. There are aspects of it, if you look at the details, very, very different than any animal on Earth, but at the same time you look at it and instantly it's a horse. We know what it is. So what I ask my designers, I spend a lot of time with my designers on every one of the animals, especially the ikran, the flying creatures that you know, Neytiri and the others ride on. You know, the horses, later the tulkun. And my first question to the designers was always, and I work closely with the designers, I drew a bit myself, we kind of traded our drawings back and forth, and we developed these creatures together. My first question was always, what's the metaphor? What are we saying this is? Is it an apex predator? Is it a domesticated partner animal, like a horse or the ikran? How does it express itself, right? So sometimes you'll see the ikran are, some people call them dragons. To me, they're kind of halfway between a bat and a pteranodon with some bird-like behaviors. But when you see how it behaves, sometimes it behaves a bit like a horse. It kind of headbutts you and nudges you to create connection. And its eyes are very alive, and the way it expresses itself vocally. We think about these creatures as living beings. How did they evolve? What's their place in the ecosystem? What's their personality? So the skin wing that Jake must learn to ride in the way of water, very fierce, not your pal. You have to actually learn how to control it. And I've thought a lot, you know, at a kind of a novelistic level about what that means. How much does the animal participate in the relationship? What does the animal get out of the relationship? I always figured with the Leonopteryx or the Toruk, the big orange, you know, we only see one that Jake masters in movie 1. I believe that it likes Jake because Jake provides strategy for its ability to kill, because it's an apex predator. Jake makes it smarter, and it provides the physical form. So not only are we thinking about the creature, its skeleton, its skin texture, and so on, and drawing from nature, right? Drawing from not only mammals, but reptiles, birds, undersea creatures, and so on, and taking undersea stuff and bringing it onto land, also bringing colors and textures. Like the ikran, the flying creatures, are colorful. Most large animals on Earth are not that colorful, most people say. And I say, yeah, except for the Bengal tiger. You know, you can always find exceptions. but we drew our inspiration from little frogs from the Amazon, and the colors and the patterns in those tiny, some of them poisonous frogs, and then just writ that large across the wingspan of a 10 meter wide creature. So it was a very collaborative process with the artists, and we'd get excited about ideas. There's an artist named Wayne Barlow who did a lot of alien designs himself. That was his thing. And he was drawing an early kind of, I said, I want to see a horse-like gesture. And he just did an arched neck. It was just one line, like that. And you can see that arched crest on the back of the dire horse. It's not a mane. It's not even a neck. It's kind of almost more like a fin. But it says horse with just one line, almost in a kind of Chinese calligraphy kind of way. And so we always look for those gestures, and then we'd get more and more detail down to a kind of a fractal level so that these creatures felt real.
Well,
I think